Audiobook Academy. Book Summary. The Poem of the Cid. By Al Cid. The Arabs reigned over one of the tiny countries that made up medieval Spain. There, war was something that happened on a regular basis. In some cases, the citizens fought each other, while in other cases, they banded together to combat the Arabs. This epic poem, or epopea, was the result of all of those conditions. Epic poems were thought to have been passed down orally from one generation to the next in Spain and elsewhere in Europe. In addition, many of them have nameless authors and only a limited number of texts. Every epic poem is based on a historical event that occurred in the country from whence it was written. The French and German epics can be seen in a Spanish epic. As compared to other European epics, the Spanish poetry is more grounded in reality because it doesn't rely on fantastical or idealized stories or characters. Until the 12th century, the earliest Castilian epics had only 12 verses. Their sacred texts were lost to time. El Cantar de Mio Cid, or the Poetry of the Cid, is the only Spanish poem that has survived, and it is the oldest literary work in Castilian. There are a total of 3,730 verses in the poem, though they are not all of the same length. In 1779, archaeologists discovered a manuscript that had been hidden in plain sight since its creation in 1140. The author may have been aware of the Song of Roland, but he chose to write in a different way and employ a different tone. Spanish chronicles with a heavy focus on Castilian history served as a source of inspiration for him. A Christian living under Muslim rule is presumed to be the author. The epic's historical figure is Rodrigo Diaz de Vivara. The Arabs gave him the Arab moniker Cid Campeador, which means warrior. During the 11th century, Rodrigo Diaz was born, and that was a time of tremendous political tensions. Because of his merits, he became a national hero in Castile. He was a royal heir and a hero to his people. That man had a lot of guts and was very honest. Cid was banished to exile twice because he didn't get along with King Alonso. He made the decision to assist Muslim ruler Saragossa and afterwards became famed for his conquering of other places. It wasn't until Cid's death in 1099 that the city of Valence was truly Cid's, thanks to his conquests in 1904. The epic was composed about 50 years after his death based on the date of his death. He was listed in the Chronicles of Spain as a historical character. Historia Roderici is thought to have been the author's source of knowledge. 3 sections make up the epic. Cid's exile from Castile is the subject of the first chapter. Because he was falsely accused of trying to conceal a portion of his tax revenue, he was expelled. She and their children were taken away from him by the monks. The man prayed for a peaceful and happy life as he drove. After then, we learn of the heroic deeds that he and his army performed across Spain. When he conquered Valence, it was the pinnacle of his victories. He and his family moved there, and they all enjoyed their time there. The lives of his daughters before and after marriage are the focus of the second and third parts of the epic. Cid attracted the king's attention after becoming wealthy and accepting Alonso's invitation to marry his 2 daughters. The grooms were willing to marry lower-class girls because they had a large dowry to offer. In Valence, France, the marriages took place. The husbands retaliated against their wives after losing a battle. They decided to flee with their dowry after that. The king made the decision to summon the Toledo court. When Cid reappeared, he sought the return of his 2 swords and dowry, which she had given him. When Cid's request was granted by the court, he determined to defend his daughter's honor by engaging in a battle. Demand emissaries from Aragon and Navarra arrived at the court, claiming that their monarchs were demanding the hands of Cid's daughters. When it came time for Cid's fight to protect his daughter's honor, the king said yes. It wasn't Cid himself who took on the ex-husbands, it was his nephews. The epic has a wide range of topics. Cid and his daughters are the focus of the first section, which covers his life in exile up to his death. First, there's 1084, then 1193, and finally 1453 verses in the third part. Because there were 3 provinces and 3 presents, the author may have used the number 3 as a symbol. Most likely, the Trinity was intended to be symbolized by the number 3. The narrative is concise and believable. There are few descriptions of individuals, items, or the environment. The narrative necessitates only a few brief descriptions. There were far more verbs than adjectives in the text. This is because verbs are frequently employed to convey the plot's fluidity and the mutability of its characters. The foundation of the epic is honor. After being exiled from Castile, Cid was forced to start anew in a new location. His power and glory were restored at Valence, where he could now challenge King Alonso. The values of medieval Castile are depicted in the epic. A new era of rights and freedoms has dawned as democracy spread across the country. The epic has passages in which the authority of those in high positions is mocked. Sid, the story's protagonist and hero. He is introduced as a man who has been exiled and must start over. He is a man of great courage who always aims to achieve greatness, wealth, and glory. For the sake of regaining his honor, he became an adventurer after being banished. He abides by the law and comes out as logical and reasonable. He is the ideal leader since he possesses all of these qualities. When compared to him, the other characters all look bleak and depressing. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button for more content like this. See you in next video.